Good morning and welcome to our 7th Rose Red Homestead class, RRH class. Here we are right here, Rose Red Homestead class. This one is Efficient Multiple Meal Prep. So if you are new to our classes, Jim and I both are retired professors, so this gives me a chance to be a professor again. This is like a class that you might attend, and it has a handout. This is a 7-page handout. It includes first 2 pages are instructions, and the last 5 pages are the recipes that we will be working with today. Now, this whole handout is up on our website. I will put the link right here. You can go directly to roseredhomestead.com, and on the opening page, scroll all the way to the bottom, and you will see a list that is titled, or a section that is titled RRH Class. And then under that are the handouts for all of our previous classes, and this one will be at the very bottom. So I would recommend that you might pause the video right now and get a printed copy of what we're going to do. It will help you better understand. So what do we mean by multiple meal prep? Well, it is so convenient to have meals ready-made in our freezer. And we have done a whole series, we're on number 8 or number 9, of doing make and freeze meals. Those meals are pre-cooked, and so they are in the freezer ready to thaw and then just warm up. But there's a whole different class of meals that we can have in our freezer as well. And those are meals that we make ahead of time, but we don't cook them, we don't bake them. We put them in the freezer to freeze and then bring them out, thaw them, and then bake them or cook them or whatever we're going to do. So one of the things that we are striving for is to, in our level 1 food storage, and I'll put a link at the end of this class for our leveling up your food storage if you are new and don't understand what that is. But we are trying to urge all of us, including ourselves, and we are still working on it, we have been for about a year, to get 60 days worth of meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, prepared by either having the meals made ahead of time or having the ingredients to make meals ahead of time. And so by doing that, we are integrating our freezer, refrigerator, and pantry to hold those meals and ingredients. And so this feeds right into that. But all that aside, I raised a large family, and I often would make double recipes of everything and then put one recipe in the freezer so I wouldn't have to do it all over again the following week or 2 weeks later or whatever. And learned how convenient it was. With just a little bit of extra effort, we could have more than one meal for almost the same effort. And so that's kind of a takeoff on this. And so there is an economy in doing that, an economy by buying things in bulk to help prepare, and also an economy of your time. And that's what is most important to most of us. So I have a procedure here, a principle of how to do that in a very economical way, a very efficient way, so that we don't have to duplicate our effort over and over again to do. Now, I'm not sure how many meals this is going to make for us, but it might not make the same number for you. It all depends on how large your family is. All of the recipes will serve between 6 and 8. A couple of casseroles may serve even more than that. So you can either break up the recipe into whatever your family size is, or you can double or triple the recipe to make 2 or 3, have one for dinner and put the other 2 in the freezer if you have a large family. So there are lots of ways that you can unpack this that will make it easy for you. So here's what the procedure is. I have outlined it as get ready, get set, and go. And I have been tracking my time so that you can know the total investment of time. Now, today is go day. So I've already done all of these things. So I probably have 4, maybe 5 hours invested in this, because there was one thing that I had to do yesterday that we'll talk about that took about an hour of my time, and I'm counting that hour in there as well. But the thing of it is, you don't have to invest all of those hours at the same time or even on the same day. I have been working on this for probably 2 or 3 weeks. Would you say, Jim, 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah.
And so you can do the preliminary stuff pretty much at your leisure as you have time. So let's just jump right in, and we're going to talk about the get ready. So the first thing that we need to do is to select the recipes, and I did that 2 or 3 weeks ago. I went through my recipes, and here's what I looked for. I looked for recipes that were in harmony with each other. In other words, they had shared ingredients and they had shared ways of cooking them. All of these are oven recipes. So here are the 5 recipes: green chili chicken casserole, chicken pot pie pockets, chicken broccoli and rice casserole, stuffed peppers, loaded beef burritos. Loaded beef burritos I borrowed from one of our make and freeze videos. So there's a complete video on how to do just this, and I will put the link to that at the end so that you can have that if you prefer to refer to that. So these all share the same way of cooking, and then they have common things like these 3 are chicken, these 2 are beef. And so yesterday I roasted 2 chickens. Now, you would not necessarily have to do that. You could go to Costco and pick up a couple of their chickens and do almost the very same thing. You can, I made the chicken chunks, and I have a little video clip from yesterday that I'm going to insert in a little bit, and made the chicken chunks, the gravy, and the broth that will be used in our recipes today. So you may have to buy a can of chicken or make your own gravy some other way, because it's a little bit difficult to make gravy from what's left with your Costco chickens. But anyway, there are lots of ways to do this, and you may even think of more efficient ways to do this than the ones that I'm going to present, and that's great. So you select your recipes, and then second is to calculate how much chicken is going to be needed, how much beef is going to be needed. Some of these call for rice. How much rice is going to be needed? Because that's the way that we harmonize what we need. We double dip, so to speak. So you will see my little table down at the very bottom of the first page of the handout, where I have the recipes listed right here, and then basic ingredients that are shared right here and how much it is. So that didn't take me very long. Doing the recipes, selecting the recipes and doing that calculation probably took maybe about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then I typed up this whole thing, but you won't have to do that. So I'm not counting the time that it took me to type this up, because you will already have that. So then the next thing to do is determine if there was any advanced prep, and I just talked about that. With these 3 recipes, I needed some chunked chicken, and I have chicken already chunked out in the freezer. I could have used that. And then I also have broth that is out in our pantry. I could have used that, but I don't have any gravy. I could have made gravy from some bouillon, but I elected to roast 2 chickens instead, and start the way many of you may have to start, by cooking up your own chicken. So just know that this one is negotiable on what you might have to do. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that video clip right now. This is the day before our 5 recipe marathon, and we need to get some things done ahead of time. This one project is going to take half a day, and so this will save some big waiting time when we are trying to put meals together tomorrow. Several of the recipes include chicken, and so it is going to be about a half a day project, but it won't take a half a day of our time. In fact, it takes very little of our time. The most time-intensive project will be when, after the meat has cooled, we pull it off the bone. So I have 2 chickens here. Jim picked out some very plump chickens, a 5-pounder and a 6-pounder. So we are going to have a lot of chicken. A little bit of salt inside the cavity of the chicken. It's about a half of a tablespoon. Then I'm going to stuff some celery in there. I just want to enhance the flavor of what our gravy and our broth is going to be. A couple of onion wedges. And a couple of lemon wedges. We're going to be using this turkey roaster to cook these chickens. It is already up to temperature, so I'm just going to lift them in. Here's our 5-pounder and our 6-pounder. And they are on a rack on the inside. It's been about 4 hours, which has allowed us to roast these 2 chickens and have them cool completely. As you can see, I am putting the skin, bones, and leavings in the pot that goes inside my Nesco, where we're going to be doing some pressure cooking to make broth. And I'm pulling the meat from the chickens. I have this much so far, so you can see it's going to be a lot. Right now it's in big chunks, so I will have to chop that and then portion it out according to the recipes. And then in this pot is the leavings from the chicken. You can come take a look at that, and I'm going to turn that into gravy. We'll strain all of this other stuff out and make some really nice gravy with the drippings from the chicken, from the roasting. Here is everything that is in this pot right before I put water in it, so that you can see all of the leavings are in there. All finished with our advanced project. The whole thing took about between 7 and 8 hours, but my time involvement was under an hour, so it wasn't bad at all. I just kept coming in and doing what I needed to do as things progressed. The time was spent on things processing and cooling and then chopping up. And so here's the results. First of all, this is a quart and plus a pint of the chicken broth, and oh, it is so good. Adding the aromatics from the roasting, from the chicken cavities to this broth just made it so tasty. Plus, the added bonus is that I have 4 more quarts that are processing in the Nesco right now. I'm pressure canning those to put on the food storage shelf. So that's an extra bonus from this project. Here is our gravy. We got a quart, and we also won't need a full quart of gravy, but we will portion it out tomorrow. So that's a bonus. We have a little extra gravy there. I chopped up the cooked chicken and bagged it according to recipe. We have 2 cups, 2 cups, and 3 cups. And these little baggies are ready to go on the trays for their respective recipes. And here's our bonus from the chopped up chicken. I have 2 packets of the size that we use we put these in the freezer, and this is the amount that I have ready for us for our level 1 food storage. So this gets set. Stage the ingredients. Now, Jim is going to go over and take a picture of those in just a minute. I'm going to go through this section first, then we'll walk over and take a look at what I have staged. So yesterday, it took me probably about another hour to stage probably about a half an hour to stage those ingredients, because I had to go out to the food storage and get stuff, out of the pantry to get stuff. I only staged things that were shelf stable last night. This morning early, I spent about another 20 minutes adding to those trays that we'll see in just a minute, all of the refrigerated, the perishable ingredients. But everything is all staged over there. And then let's take a look at, and then I staged the equipment that might be needed as well. So let's go over and just take a quick look at these trays. So this tray is for green chili enchilada casserole. This one is chicken pot pie pockets. This one is chicken broccoli and rice casserole. Here is stuffed peppers. And this is loaded beef burritos. So when we get ready to put the finishing touches, to finish up a recipe, then I'll just come and grab a tray with everything on it and put it right over in our work area. The next step is to do, under Get Set, is to make a list of order of operations. And this is where a big piece of the efficiency comes in. And that is, when do I do this? When do I do that? And so what I have done is give you, and you could have ordered it differently than I did, but just be true to the way that you work in your kitchen. And that's what I've done. This is how I would work in my kitchen. So you see on the order of operations page, which is the second page on the instruction, you see what we've done the day before, and we just watched that video, that little clip, so we know that those ingredients are now ready. And then on prep day, this is what we do. This is on go day. First, we're going to cook rice, and then you can see the whole list. Then we're going to go through things in this order, finishing up by each one of the meals. So I think we're about ready to get started. So I've got my packet right here, and I have it on the order of operations. So that's what we're going to follow. So the first thing is that I'm going to be doing the rice. And if you look back on the table of shared ingredients, and I call that a grid.
What page is that?
It's on the first page. I need 7 cups of rice, 7 cups of cooked rice. And so I have my rice right here. These pots are ready to go, and they're empty. So this is the one I'm going to cook the rice in. Now to get 7 cups of cooked rice, I'm going to need about 3 cups of dry rice. I'm going to add water. Six cups, and we're going to put this on to cook. Next on our order of operations is pie crust. So this is my all-time go-to favorite pie crust. It's a fantastic recipe, and my method is a little bit different than most people's because I use my countertop and not a dish to put the mix in. Now, right before we started, I washed my countertop with soap and water, rinsed it, and then let it air dry, and then I gave it a good spray of Stearamine and let it dry. So we are totally sanitized here. So this is 1 cup of flour, 2, and I'm spooning the flour into the cup. And 3. And I'm going to set this aside. I'll need it later, but I'm trying to keep as clear a deck as possible. And then I need a teaspoon of salt. Then with 2 bench scrapers, I just mix the salt and the flour together. And make a well. Into a measuring cup, I crack an egg. Put in about a tablespoon of vinegar. This is some of our fallen apple vinegar. And then I'm going to fill the cup up to the 1 cup line with water. I'm going to be cutting the butter in little cubes. Right in that little well. The Crisco is very cold. Cutting it in cubes as well and dropping it in. Now, next is to mix the fat with the flour until it is granular. This mixture is now in granular form, meaning that the fat has been mixed in with the flour a lot. A lot of this mixture is about the granularity of cornmeal, but there are still many, many little lumps of fat that are about the size of peas and smaller. And that is exactly what we want. We want there to be some little pieces of fat in there. It really helps with the flakiness of the crust to do it that way. A lot of people like to mix everything until it is totally homogenized, and I prefer not doing that. I've done it both ways, and this way gives a much flakier crust. Okay, now I'm making a bigger well, and our liquid is ready, and I'm going to pour most of it in this well. But notice that I'm keeping back some. Okay, now we're going to mash it flat and form it into a giant loaf. And then we're going to fold it over on itself and flip it. Folding it over like that helps give it layers, which is what we want for flakiness. Okay, now we are going to cut it in thirds. I'm going to put it in little baggies. And these three are now going to go in the refrigerator. When we see them next, we will be ready to roll them out to make this is for the chicken pot pie pockets. Okay, we're back and counter is cleaned again. My hands were just washed. I'm going to be working with frying the hamburger next. And we're going to dovetail some things here. So this is a pound of our hamburger from our freezer. And this is a pound from the store. Yesterday, I think. We have 2 recipes, the stuffed peppers and the loaded beef burritos, each of which requires a pound of hamburger. So we're going to cook both pounds together, then divide it in half as we get ready to work with those recipes. So while the hamburger is working, I'm going to peel a potato. This is a 3/4 cup measurement. So we're close enough to 3/4, it's a little bit more. I'm going to put that right on the steaming basket. All right, so I have peeled and diced everything, all the veggies for the pockets, and they're in the steamer basket. I've got water in the bottom of this pan. I'm putting the basket in. We'll put those on to steam in just a moment. I've diced the onion. Now, notice what I've done with the hamburger. I am letting gravity help us drain the hamburger. So I just have all the hamburger moved to one side of the pan, and it's propped up on this little tray, and all of the juices and the fats are moving to this side of the pan. So I think we're done with the shared ingredient list in our order of operations. Yes. So next up is to finish the enchilada casserole. All right, just so you know, I am tracking our total amount of time, even though we go off camera to finish up some things that would be tedious for you to have to watch. I am keeping track of total time, and we started at 10 o'clock. It's now 5 after 11, so we are an hour in. So notice that we are following our order of operations and that we are cleaning as we go, and that is really important. So for this casserole, it takes 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, and these are undiluted. So I'm just going to drop those in there. It is also going to take 1 cup of plain Greek yogurt, which is right here. I've washed off our little spatula, so I can use the same one. So here is our 1 cup of Greek yogurt. Gives it such a nice little tang to this taste of this sauce. And then it takes 2 4-ounce cans, in other words, 8 ounces of green chili. This is a 7-ounce can. I've not turned the heat on under that yet. So I'm going to whisk this, and Jim's going to bring the camera over here in a minute. Now I'm going to be adding, here is, the recipe calls for 2 cups of cooked chicken chunks right here, and I have to admit I put about an extra ½ cup in there. And the heat is going on. To compensate for having only 7 ounces of green chili, I have some of our freeze-dried green chili that I'm going to add. All right, we are ready to go here. I've got for the tortillas, all we need to do is just tear them. Now you can cut them if you want to. I don't bother cutting them. I just put them into sizes about like this. I had 5 larger ones left over from a previous purchase, and so then I got these that are a little bit smaller, and there should be about, I want about 7 more, 2, 4, 5. I'm going to go with just 5 because these other ones were larger. And they are corn tortillas. And what we're going to do is drop them in here. So Jim's going to come up and see how we do this. The main bulk of this casserole is going to be these tortillas because they are going to sort of disintegrate in the mix and give us the bulk. And so we'll put a few in and then we stir because we want to get them completely doused with the sauce and the chicken, the green chili chicken sauce. Now, I have for the recipe 12 tortillas, but you can make adjustments according to how you prefer. Just knowing that they're going to bulk up when you bake them. So I had 5 of the larger ones and 5 of the smaller ones. And I'm going to get the other 2 to make 12. Okay, that is just exactly right. I have two sizes. These are 8.5 by 6 with this style of lid, and the foil goes up when we package it. And then I have these 8 by 8 with a little different style of lid that kind of crimps right on. So for one meal for Jim and me, this size would be just perfect. And it would avoid leftovers, which is kind of what we prefer. This is already thickening up. I think I'm going to be able to get 2, maybe 3. Now these are topped with cheese. If I put the cheese on there right now, it's going to melt, and I don't want the cheese to melt. So I have the cheese right here. It's ready to go on the top, but I'm going to put these off to the side to cool while we move on to our next one. And when we get a little bit later into the video, we will add the cheese and put the lids on. All right, now here we go with our chicken pot pie pockets. I have just taken this out of the microwave. It is the butter and the cream cheese. We're going to mix this together. And you only need to microwave it just until you can mix it together. It doesn't have to be boiling or anything else like that. And of course, I did use ghee. Okay, to this mixture, we add a half a teaspoon of onion powder. And a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Garlic salt, sorry. And our cooked chicken. Let's stir these spices in before we do that. We want this pretty well mixed. So in goes the chicken, and here are our veggies. And this is the filling for our chicken pot pies. So I'm going to stir this together, clear the deck, and get ready to roll out the pie crust, and we'll be back. All right, so we're at the very tail end of this one, and I have rolled out, I divided the crust into 8 even little balls, and then I rolled them out, and they're kind of uneven circles. Then I put 1/6 of the filling on each of 6 bottoms, and I'm now going to just take a little bit of water and dampen this crust so that it will seal well to the top crust. And here goes the top crust. And I'm just going to kind of pinch this together. And I have it on this spatula so that it makes it easier. And I'm going to cut off the edges. We don't need all this extra crust. And these are just fun to make this way, but of course you could also put them in little foil pans and do the same thing. But I wanted to just show you something that's a little bit different. And then I flour a fork and go around the edges and seal the crust together, hopefully. But it sticks out too far, and so I'm just improvising. And then once I get that done, then I'm folding it up all the way around and just pinching it, every inch or so, and sort of attaching it to the upper body, just so that that crust doesn't stick out so much. And it is, you could leave it sticking out this way, but with my pans, I need it to be just a little bit smaller. You can see one is in the pan right here. And we have 2 other pans over on the counter already done. And just fit them in. And here we have it. So I'm going to poke steam holes. And these are ready for the lids to go on. And are ready right now to go into the freezer. So I'm going to clear the deck and we're going to come back with our next one. One last thing for those little chicken pockets is they need to be garnished with some chicken gravy, which we made yesterday, and it is just delicious. So I am putting 1 cup of this gravy in a little baggie. Mashing it flat. As flat as can be. And laying it gently on the top, and then the lid goes on. So now we have 3 of these ready to go. All right, we are ready for our rice, chicken, broccoli casserole. But first, I just wanted to show you what the cheese looks like on the top of our #1 recipe, the green chili chicken casserole. So I'm now going to put the lid on, and these need to go in the refrigerator. Be sure that you keep refrigerated things refrigerated until you actually need them. Okay, so I'm going to take a second and put these in the fridge, and we'll be right back. I'm keeping those in the fridge because I want to show you everything before we actually go out to the freezer. Now this casserole is fairly quick to put together once you have everything staged. So in this pot, I have the half a cup of sugar, I have the half a cup of flour and half a cup of butter. I am making a roux. Cook that flour a little bit. Melt the butter. The roux is a thickening agent. While we're waiting for that, everything else except the cheese goes right into this great big pan. We're actually going to mix our casserole in this big bowl. So in go the onions. In goes the chicken. In goes the broccoli. And that's all for right now. All right, I think we have time to do the rice. Here's our cooked rice. And we need 3 cups. So here's 1, 2, 3. All right, we have bubbling. So I'll show you that as well. And we're now going to add the broth. This broth is so yummy. Now we're going to mix the 1/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt with 1/4 of a cup of mayo, and have that little addition ready to go. And it is nice and thick. So the sauce goes on. can't get all that out. Jim, I need you around here, please.
Yeah, I figured that.
Out.
Yeah, it's about
Okay,
bunch of sugar.
thank you. Thanks very much, honey. All right, I'm going to be adding some salt and pepper to taste. And stirring it around. Now this is very raw. Onions are raw, broccoli is raw. Quick casserole. And so yummy. All right, I'm putting the yogurt back in the fridge. And the mayo. So we're mixing this little yogurt and mayo together for just a little bit of tang. Now if you want, you can use a full half cup of either one. I like them mixed. And mixing this together. Okay. I think this will be 3 casseroles for us. Now evening,
Yeah, equalizing it.
equalizing, that's a better choice. And we have a mixture of cheddar jack cheese. You can really use whatever kind of cheese you want. And the recipe calls for 2 cups, and I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm just going to put enough cheese on the top to make it a really wonderful casserole. Okay, just putting the lid on the last one of these. So we are now ready to do number 4, stuffed peppers. This is going pretty fast now. As you may notice, here's our frying pan that we originally cooked the hamburger in, so I'm going to reuse it. I've taken half of the hamburger out for the other recipe. I'm going to turn the frying pan back on again, and we are going to saute these onions in what is left. Instead of adding additional oil, when I drained out the juices, there was a lot of fat there too, so I'm just going to, I've got the garlic in here as well. There was, I think, enough fat to be able to just use here. The hamburger, of course, is already cooked, but we want to warm it while these onions are cooking. So while I'm going to set the spices over here, we'll use those in a minute. Mixing the tomatoes in with the meat. Now I'm going to add the spices. So garlic is in. 1.5 teaspoons of chili powder. I have cayenne pepper. I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon of the cayenne. Feel free to adjust this any way you wish. Smoked paprika, 1/2 teaspoon. And I love smoked paprika. I probably say that every single video that we use with it. I'm getting kind of low. Oregano, 1/4 teaspoon. And the cumin, half a teaspoon. Okay, done with the spices. Stirring in these spices. And then we add 1 cup of rice. And we mix this all together. Now, we cut our peppers in half this way, and then I'm just going to take this little paring knife and cut out the stem piece. So when we come back, I'll have all the peppers lined up on this baking sheet. I am mounding up the last of this meat onto the peppers, kind of using the sides of the pan to hold them upright. So the green ones, the 3 other colors, the yellow, the red, and the orange came in a 3-pack, and then the green one was a separate purchase, and it was quite a bit larger than the others, and that is perfect for us because these I will be giving to Jim. Okay, now what I have done here, I'll be putting them in here, and there will be 4. And I'm going to pick a big one and a small one. And I'm putting in a cheese packet. So that's how I'm going to pack them. So I'm going to go ahead and finish packing these up, and we will then be ready to start on our last one. Hooray, hooray. Well, here we are, number 5. Yay, yay, yay. We've been at it, 4 hours. So it'll be about 4 hours and 15 minutes for all of the prep stuff and ready to get things in the, well, maybe 4.5 hours. 4.5. Okay, so I have been working on getting ready for these loaded burritos, and you can watch our video. I'll put the link. Actually, the link is actually in your packet as well. So I have the onions and the meat and peppers in here, and I would lift it up, except I've cut it like a pie into 8 wedges. One of the things we can do for efficiency, and I'm standing in the sun, and colors are going to be wonky, but that's the way it is over here at this time of day. One of the things that I have done to expedite putting these burritos together is to cut everything in 8ths. So I'm going to show you with this can of beans. I took the top off and then poked air holes in the bottom so it would come out in one great big cylinder. So I'm going to cut that in half this way.
So is that refried beans?
This is what's in the recipe. It's the refried beans with green chilies. And then I'm going to cut each one again. So now I have it in 4ths. And I need it in 8ths, so that would be one more down the middle this way. So the rice, I just dumped out on this round tray. It's a cutting board, and the roundness of the cutting board helped me just with my hand shape this into a circle, and I've cut it in 8 pieces. So everything is now in 8 pieces, and I have 8 tortillas right here. So we're going to start with the beans and just smear some of the beans right in the middle. And then with my pie server, I'm going to take one portion of the rice and put that on the top and even it out. And it's going to be trickier with the meat. I think I will get the meat closer to the action. Ooh. I'm going to try with the pie server as well. Sort of. That sort of worked. And spread that out in kind of a little mini loaf. And then on top of that, I am going to put 1/4 cup of cheese. And this is cheddar jack cheese. Cheddar and jack. So folding this way, folding this way, folding this way, and then one over. And I think this is the size we want. Maybe not.
We need something bigger.
I think so. Yes. So then putting this right here. Perfect, perfect. Okay, I'm going to continue with this, and we'll be back when we're ready to do the next step. So in the times when the camera is off and we continue working on this project, the news has come about the school shooting in Georgia. And both Jim and I are quite emotional about that. The first part of my career was in K-12 in Houston, Texas during the Cold War, where I had to teach my children fire drills and bomb drills and get under your desk and put your hands over your head. And that doesn't even begin to compare with live shooting drills. And it's just such a sad thing. I hope as a country we can wake up and do something about it. Oh, are you okay, Jim? About the same that I am. All right, well, we're going to finish up these burritos so that we can finish by 2:30 and be 4.5 hours. So I've packed them in 4 trays, so this will give us 4 meals. This is the can of enchilada sauce. I wanted to measure it. It's about 1 1/3 cups of sauce, which means that we can then drizzle about 1/3 cup of sauce over in each pan. Also, these will bake for a little while, and then we take them out of the oven and cover them with cheese. And I am not going to pack these with the cheese because it's quite messy with the enchilada sauce. But we always have cheese on hand anyway, so that's an option that I could really do with any of the meals that we do in the future. Must have been a little bit more than 1 1/3. So we'll just distribute some more here. All right, that's that. And now we'll put the lids on, and we will be back shortly to show you the whole thing. Well, here we are. We have 17 meals for Jim and me, and we have done it today, putting everything together. We've done it in 4.5 hours, which gives us a total time for this project right at 9 hours, including all the things for get ready and get set. And so the go part took 4.5 hours. This took probably 4 to 4.5 hours as well. So, but this was spread out over several days. So this was quite intense. I worked nonstop, even when the camera was off, not showing you things that were a little bit tedious, like the cleanup or the peeling of potatoes and that kind of thing. So I believe that we have cut our time in at least half for what it would take to make any of these individually. And also our expense is well under $100. So for 17 meals, we think that this is just great. These will go in our freezer outside and be part of our level 1 food storage efforts. And in addition to that, it is so wonderful to just be able to go outside, pick a meal, bring it in the house, thaw it, and then bake it. These are all baking. Now, the 2 casseroles, the broccoli rice casserole and the green chili chicken casserole, you could probably put those in the oven frozen, like you do frozen lasagnas, and cook those. I have not ever done that. I prefer to thaw before we bake. The stuffed peppers, the chicken pot pie pockets, and the burritos would need to be thawed first before you put them in the oven. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope that you can either choose some of these recipes or integrate some of your own recipes and take a half a day after the get ready and get set. Then just take half a day and put everything together so that you can have not only just a time-saving accomplishment, but also the energy efficiency and everything else related to efficiently putting together multiple meals. So thank you for attending our class. We appreciate it very much, and we really, really look forward to your comments. So we will see you soon for more videos and sometime in the future for more classes.